One question that I commonly see pop up from people in the community is what legend should they get next? People will ask on my stream, or they'll come into these videos, or they'll even pop up in the Discord to ask. And I know that picking a legend is tough. I know that most players aren't like me and have over 700,000 legend tokens to spend on whatever they want. So hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down a guide of sorts on what legend you should be buying in Season 13. Now, buying a legend can be a bit scary because then you have to learn a whole new character, and that can be tough. But have no fear because the GameLeap website is here. Over there we have the best, most highly informative guides possible, all to make you the best Apex player you can be. We have legend guides, we have gun guides, and we even do VOD reviews to show you in-game examples of how to play certain situations. So if you want to learn everything in Apex, click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, or I'll tickle your feet. But okay, let's start breaking down who to buy, and what better place to start than the characters I suggest avoiding. And starting off with that, we have Crypto. Now don't get me wrong, Crypto is a very strong legend in the game, and with the right team comp he can carry a lot of fights. But the reason that I have him in the avoid tier is because he isn't very beginner friendly. There's a lot you have to understand about him and how the game works in order to get the maximum usefulness from his kit. And while he does provide a lot of information in fights, if you aren't using his abilities properly, a legend like Bloodhound or Seer will do the same thing just a little bit better because they are more user friendly. But next up in this tier is Revenant. Revenant is a fun legend to play because you can just run at fights and not care. But he requires a lot of team coordination in order to play. You need a character on your team to get you into fights, or you waste a lot of time on your death totem and are effectively wasting that ability. So unless you are queued up with an Octane or an Ashe, I wouldn't really say that this legend is a go-to pick. And right now the meta just isn't in a good spot for Rev. It's not as fight heavy, so you're not getting as much usefulness out of his kit. Now the next legend in this tier is going to be Mirage. His kit can be fun for a lot of different reasons. Main one being you make your enemies question what is real and what isn't with all the decoys that you spawn. But Mirage really falls off in the usefulness department because his kit is easily countered by players who know what to look for when you use an ability. And couple that with the fact that he doesn't fit any roles on a team, he just kind of exists in a void and isn't a fantastic pick. There can be some plays pulled off with him, but it takes an extreme amount of game knowledge that most players just don't have, so I can't really suggest that anyone buy this character. At least not right away. Now moving on to the next tier though, we have our meh tier, and the first one here is going to be Fuse. Fuse's kit is all about causing chaos and making spots unplayable. He can carry more grenades and even use his knuckle cluster to be a really big pain in the butt. Though in the meta right now, a lot of characters have a way to get out of his ultimate and can just counter his nade spam by getting out of the area and leaving him in the dust. But when you're able to lock someone down with your ultimate, it is a ton of fun and you'll just have a blast in doing so. And yes, the pun was intended. With the meta just not being in the right spot for Fuse currently, it's not a really big priority to get him right now. It's not that he's bad, it's just that the meta isn't in a good spot for him. But next in the tier though, we have Fuse's old spark, Mad Maggie. Maggie is more of an aggressive playstyle legend, and she has a few really cool tricks that people can pull off with her. But once again, she does require a bit more of game sense that new players just won't have quite yet. You need to know what spots have doors or corners or even just the general terrain of an area when using her riot drill or even her wrecking ball. If you don't know an area, you can whiff an ability and just leave you stranded and not sure what to do. And while I do think she's a fun legend to play, I just don't think that she's the best pickup for someone who is newer or doesn't have a bunch of tokens to spend. Moving on though, we have Octane. Now Octane is still a really fun legend if you love running and gunning, but right now his kit is very reliant on movement and knowing how to do things like neo-strafing or tap strafes, and the vast majority of players don't know how to do those things or even can't do them due to being on controller. So with all of that, some players wouldn't really enjoy Octane because they can't use his kit to the full extent and would end up regretting spending the tokens. Now, if you're a movement god or want to become one, he is a solid choice, but that is a small portion of the community, so I have him down here. And the last legend for this tier is going to be Watson. I love my girl Watson, and she is very strong when put into the right circumstances. But like other legends down here, she takes a little bit more skill and can be exploited very easily. Watson has no movement abilities to help her get out of spots if caught, so she really relies on her team to help her get around the map. If you don't have a solid 3-stack, that can be an issue for most players. And though her generator can be super clutch in some situations, once again you do need some insight on where to put it in order to not have it get shot right away. So lots of game sense is required to play her, and that isn't exactly beginner friendly. But now we can talk about the upper tier characters, and starting off with that we have Caustic. Now Caustic is probably one of the strongest legends in the game right now, and he makes holding buildings a lot easier. If you're more of a defensive style player, he is definitely the choice for you. He can stall out fights and make pushing your team an absolute nightmare. The reason he's in this tier and not higher though is because he doesn't have any movement abilities and he can be caught out easily, so you do need a little bit more game sense on how to play him properly. Though his gas does help him out a ton and he can get out of a lot more situations than normal. And if you're the type that looks to play for zone, he is a fantastic pickup. Next up though we have Loba. Looting for some players can be tough. They aren't sure what to grab or sometimes they just can't find it. But with Loba, all those problems are gone. Not only does she highlight good loot and can see through walls, her ultimate makes it so you can pick up items in an area. So that just makes life a lot easier for most players, especially beginners, because it really helps them get their weapons or armor fully kitted. And Loba is also the go-to for people to simp over, so if those bikini skins ever drop, we all know whose play rate is just going to skyrocket. Loba is a fantastic legend for newer players to help them learn how to loot and what types of items to look for. So if you're bad at looting, maybe give Loba a try. But now we have the newest legend to the games, Newcastle. Newcastle is a lot better than I was expecting, and he offers teams a lot in a bunch of different situations. His revive is amazing, and his tactical and ultimate give so many options for teams to play, especially in some of the endgame zones that pull into the middle of the open. He can really pull out some amazing plays, but he can be countered fairly easily with a few well-placed nades, so he isn't the full package on his own. But for the people that want to play support, he is someone that I personally enjoy playing and having on the team. And finally, last up in this tier, we have Rampart. Rampart did receive some buffs at the start of the season that have really brought her up in terms of scariness. Before, she wasn't really anything to fear and was just kind of there, but now she can actually dish out some pain and isn't just a complete troll pick. The only real issue that she has right now is that she still doesn't fit a role on the team and you can be screwed over in some areas. So if you're looking to play Rampart and you want to try her out, make sure that you go into games knowing that there are some weak spots in your team comp. I see some people that go into games as Rampart and think that they're god when they pull out Sheila and can just mow people down, but she can be exposed very easily, so do keep that in mind. But now we have hit the top. These are the must-buy characters. These are the ones that are not only fun to play, but are strong and will be solid mains to be choosing this season. First up in this tier, we have Ashe. Now, Ashe's abilities are really strong, but something that is very often overlooked is her passive. The fact that you can see death boxes on the map and know where people are fighting is absolutely disgusting. You can then know what side of the map has people on it to either go fight them or avoid it while rotating. This then helps teach you about those rotations and helps you learn how to plan to get to spots for endgame with the least amount of contesting possible. Ashe is a fantastic beginner legend and one that a lot more people need to be picking up in order to learn the game. Now the next legend is Horizon. Horizon is seeing a lot more play in the meta right now because of how strong her ultimate is. She basically offers players a get out of jail free card with it because when in doubt, throw the ultimate out. This one ability ability can win fights on its own, and it helps out a lot of players get out of really sticky situations. She is also a great legend to learn some movement techs on, so if you're looking to learn some of those beginner movement abilities, she is a great place to start. And this season has a lot more players hiding in corners and pulling out rat plays, so the next legend is Seer. His heartbeat sensor is a great way to counter people hiding and trying to surprise you. His ultimate is also really good in fights to help you track enemies, and he's very good at controlling the flow of engagements. One thing that you need to note when playing him though is not to get too reliant on his heartbeat sensor and other tracking abilities. I've seen some people get too attached to those, and then when they try to play other legends, they are just completely lost in fights. Just remember to still be learning to fight without relying on those things too much. And last but certainly not least, we have Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a legend that is almost a must-have on team comps. Her ultimate offers so much in terms of rotation, she is just insanely strong right now. Even with the nerf she got at the start of the season, she is still a great beginner legend with all the options she has for fights. She has her jetpack, her rockets, and ultimate all to help people get out of spots or take control of fights. Definitely a legend worth buying and just using while you learn a lot of aspects of the game. But something that everyone needs to keep in mind is that you should never regret buying a legend. Even if you don't enjoy them, playing them will make you a better player overall because you'll know how they'll function and how other players will be using them against you. So buying all the legends and playing them over time is a thing that all players should be looking to do. But with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did and you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I will see you in the next one.